The 2010 Patron GT3 Challenge by Yokohama reaches its penultimate race weekend at Road America. Today, Porsche hands over the keys to the all-new Cayenne, and we'll see the life of a Yokohama race tire, the ways Patron gives back, and how the safety teams at IMSA work. But don't forget, we'll also see all the highlights of rounds 11 and 12 as the championships take shape, and it's all right here on Speed. The connection between Road America, the beautiful 4-mile ribbon of asphalt that winds through the Kettle Moraine Forest in central eastern Wisconsin, and Porsche is a long and historical one. Porsches have been running and winning races at this legendary venue for many years, some of the best that has unfolded in North America. And so it is today, as the 11th and 12th rounds of the Patron GT3 Challenge make their annual appearance at this storied venue. Hi everybody, I'm Greg Creamer, and welcome to this great championship at this absolutely phenomenal racetrack. And in our two different classes, Platinum and Gold, we've got some compelling stories building. In the Platinum class, after you factor in the 2 drops and points you're allowed, it looks as though Ross Smith's position might be a little stronger even, but Daryl Carlisle and ever-improving Amadeo Quiroz Sr. and Chris Cumming are closing in. That battle for second is great, and there's 4 rounds left, keep in mind, and at 20 points to win, 1 major misstep by Ross, and those other 3 are right in it. In Gold, it's closer still. You factor in those drops, Enrique Cisneros looks good, but the players behind him are closing in as well, and a couple of those guys, in terms of, in particular, Kendall Smith, who's had a great second half of the season thus far, and Amadeo Quiroz Jr. are going to be players as well. And here at Road America, just to make things all the more interesting, we see the return of the gentleman who was a standout in the Gold Cup last year, 9 wins in his 12 starts. Brian Wong has come back here to Road America, and he is sure to play the role of spoiler. But to play that role, you first have to tame the legend that is Road America. To help us figure out how to do it, here's multiple-time series champ Bob Fayetta.
Let me take you for a lap of Road America on Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin in the Competition Motorsports Porsche GT3 Cup car. Accelerating down the front straightaway, one of the longest in the series, reaching speeds of 155 miles per hour before heavy braking into turn 1. Down through the gearbox, we get down into 4th gear for the fast right-hander this turn 1. A quick downshift to 3rd for turn 3, and it's again back up through the gearbox for the second longest straight on the track. Again, speeds up to 150 miles an hour before heavy downhill braking into turn 5. Turn 5, the slowest corner on the circuit, is where a lot of passes are made. Acceleration out of turn 5 is important as it is uphill and requires a lot of momentum. Turn 7 is a deceivingly fast right-hand turn, one of those turns that you always feel you could carry a little more speed. Heavy braking down to turn 8, also a great passing zone. Leaving turn 8, it's time to hang on as the driver is now entering the carousel. Running down into turn 12, it feels like you're doing 200 miles an hour because of the tunnel and shadowing effect of the trees around the track. As you accelerate out of turn 12, it's through turn 13 Mitchell Bend and set up for turn 14. Turn 14 is a relatively fast right-hand corner, one of the most important corners on the track that will propel you down the front straightaway at Road America. That completes a lap of Road America in the Competition Motorsports GT3 Cup car.
When we come back, we'll have all the highlights from round 11, and it's all aboard with Patron. The Patron GT3 Challenge by Yokohama is presented by the Patron Spirits Company, the #1 ultimate tequila in the world, simply perfect. And by Yokohama, where technology drives better tires, and by Speed. Well, folks, let's take a look at the starting lineup for this 11th round as it was about to unfold. Up front, Ross Smith. Remarkable story, his 9th pole of the year. 7 wins, joined by the youngster Mike Shine. Then Marco Cironi and Brian Wong returning. Going to be a big story there, as we talked about. Then Chris Cumming and Amadeo Quiros. And then we go back to Daryl Carlisle and Rob Walton in row 4. Top 8 all platinum cars. Then the pole in the gold class is Carlos Eduardo. He's joined by Amadeo Quiros Jr. The next row is Enrique Cisneros and Kendall Smith. And the big story, really, folks, is those 4. Because in the platinum class, Ross Smith needs to have a big issue for the others to be in the championship hunt. But those 4, Eduardo, Quiros, Cisneros, and Smith, are in a war for the Gold Cup Championship. It is going to be something to watch unfold, and they certainly did not disappoint here in Road America. So, as we take a look at the rest of the starting lineup, and you can see we go deep into the field, a large field of cars. Earlier, Jamie caught up with our class pole sitters.
Coming into the first round here at Road America, Ross Smith is on pole for another race. Ross, starting up front today, you have a little bit of extra competition back behind you today. How are you going to keep it that way?
Oh, we got to get a good, clean start, stay up front, do no mistakes. Max Faber Boys gave me a great car. Unfortunately, the practice right before coming into qualifying yesterday, the car had a mechanical issue, which was nobody's problem. It was just a fluke. So we didn't know what we really had coming into qualifying, but we threw some stickers on it, went out, threw a good number down, and now here we are on pole, and hopefully we come across the start finish first.
Good luck. Carlos Eduardo coming back to the GT3 series this weekend. Carlos, you missed the last round after that incident at Mid-Ohio. It's your head in the game. You're on pole.
Yes, I'm back. I'm happy to be here. Save cars. NGT did a good job, and thank you, Eduardo, my teammate, that lent me his car. I really appreciate that.
What is important for today's race? How are you going to keep the field behind you?
I'm just going to try to keep my line, be fast, be safe, and have fun. That is the main thing I wanna do. Fun, as always.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Well, fun is another strong suit of the NGT team. Let's take a look at the highlights. The green flag flies, and right away, Ross Smith gets a good jump on the field, able to nose ahead. There's Mike Shine on the right of that second row. Look at Chris Cumming trying to come in and almost making it 3 abreast. And, of course, everybody checking their mirrors a little bit, realizing that's a tough place, at least to have that many cars funnel through. And the field, for the most part, gets through turn 1 very cleanly, down into turn 3. And now, again, you can see Marco Cironi and Shine side by side. Shine tucks in behind, tries to get the run out of the turn, and got a decent little run. Meanwhile, we move a little further along, taking a look at the goings-on in that gold class battle, and there is Kendall Smith. And Kendall got a great start up in front of points leader Enrique Cisneros. Back at the lead, there goes Ross Smith. Take a look at Amadeo Quiros Sr. here as he moves to the inside of Daryl Carlisle, realizes that one's not quite on, tucks right back in behind. He lost that spot, actually, and behind them, Kendall Smith. Boy, a big moment for Kendall, and that is going to give us our first full course caution. And as that unfolds, we see the Patron tents, a great presence at the track, but they have an even more important presence in the world of charities. Here's more.
I never hear anything negative about the brand. It's always about, wow, what a great tequila. And I love to go into stores and purchase a bottle. And usually the store owner doesn't know who I am. And I'll buy a bottle of Patron and he'll say, wow, you know, you're really going to be happy with this brand. And I said, really? You really think so? Why is it? He said, because everyone is.
Over the years, the Patron Spirits Company has grown that brand, and now they're able to use it for the greater good. This summer, Patron teamed with the St. Bernard Parish in New Orleans to help families who survived Katrina battle the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Patron was able to use their marketing team and the perfect brand recognition to launch the Tequila Patron Epicurean Express. The train visited Chicago, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, New Orleans, and Los Angeles. 5 cities with 5 dinners made by over 20 award-winning chefs, combined with 6 cocktail parties and 750 guests, raised $120,000 for the rebuilding efforts. But they don't stop there. Patron supports the Austin Hatcher Foundation to help families who are battling pediatric cancer. The foundation gives life and hope back to families with research and a tangible network of help, while Patron is able to supply activation and awareness for their fundraising events.
And we try to get better every single day, trust me. It's not just the ozone project that we're working on down in Mexico, but if there's better ways and different ways that we can do our packaging, that we're going to do that. but it's also what we try to do to give back to the communities, whether it's New Orleans, what we try to do, rebuilding after Katrina. We've got a big initiative going on that. We've gotten really behind the Smile Train charity in the past. Water Keepers, which is trying to replenish all the waterways of the world. So it's important to us because, as John Paul DeJoria says, success unshared is failure. And we really do try to think about that each and every day with everything that we do.
After cleaning up Kendall Smith's incident, we went back to green in round 11, and Ross Smith once again able to do a nice job on the restart, keeping Marco Cironi behind him. Take a look here, big look to the inside by Brian Wong as he tries to get around Mike Shine. Couldn't quite make that one work. However, watch this move here as down underneath Brent Holden goes Amadeo Quiros Jr., and right alongside Darrell Carlisle, who's been a player in the points all year, had a spin. Quiros couldn't get that passed onto the platinum car of Holden there. He tried it again a little bit later that lap, gets down underneath here, and watch Holden, just runs a little wide, maybe checking his mirrors, does a nice job to straighten it out, but that clearly allowed Quiros Jr. by. Meanwhile, Marco Cironi in that small six-gear racing team having another great run as he shows up at as many of these events as his budget allows. When he does, he's quick. And of course, Brian Wong making his first start of 2010 after being so impressive in the Gold Class Championship last year. Lots of great battling going on behind here. But now watch Chris Cumming in the orange car. He's got a problem. He wants to get to the pits, but he exited far too much on the racing line instead of getting to the right. And Driver's doing a big scatter move as he's trying to get into the pits, and he has to thread the needle between the signs. He did make it in. Nobody got caught out. Here is Carlos Eduardo being hounded by the platinum car of Rob Walton. Eduardo acknowledged the fact that his teammate, Eduardo Cisneros, who couldn't be here, said, use my car, otherwise they could never have gotten that car fixed. And he was able to put in a good run. Speaking of good runs, Brian Wong on the return. Look at him going after the all-white number 88 of Marco Cironi. And now Wong, with that inside move and got the door slammed on him, lost the momentum. It's so key here. And Mike Shine now right behind him in that Alex Job machine as they close up. A little bit further back in the pack, Michael Avenatti leading a great group, battling for a spot inside the top 10 in class. And right here, beautiful move by Steve Goldman. That is one of the competition motorsports cars down underneath Bob Rodriguez, driving the Works 2 Racing number 68. That blue car, that blue nose with the white and then red trim on the lower side of the rear quarter panels, that is Rodriguez, and these guys were having a great scrap. Meanwhile, up front, Ross Smith stretching his lead after that first caution, and that was to be the tenor of the race. Meanwhile, back to this battle, and look at this now. Goldman over teammate Avenatti, then Rodriguez. Behind him is Brad Larson in the number 10 Race Technique Porsche, and then chasing them is Ludovico Manfredi, the third of the NGT cars here this weekend. Rodriguez trying to get down underneath Avenatti. He didn't make it work, but Avenatti, a little bit too much attention in his mirrors, got offline, and into the gravel he went. And as that second caution flew, we take a look at the Maxwell Paper Products team. For them, it's truly a family affair.
Brothers on and off the track, Kendall and Ross Smith race alongside each other in the number 4 and the number 5 cars for their family-sponsored team, Maxwell Paper Racing. Through supporting and challenging each other, the Smiths share what the family dynamic adds to each of their racing experiences.
It's an incredible experience, also with my father. But racing with my brother, man, it brings us close together. I was in school for 4 years and then in graduate school for another 2. So we grew, I wouldn't say grew apart, but we didn't get to spend so much quality time together. And being able to race with my brother is incredible. And my older brother also on the team, and my dad, running everything and being the owner. But it's such a great experience.
At times it's fun, and at times it's challenging because both kids want to do real well. I mean, Kendall wants to show that he belongs and he's as good as Ross, and Ross wants to show that he's better than Kendall. So at times they are brothers as we see them, at the track a little bit different than you do at home. But it's very competitive. They're always on each other all the time. It's a lot of fun, but when it gets out here, it gets pretty serious. So it's different, especially at the track.
Oh no, I love the kid. I'm not gonna give him any grief, man. If we ran the same class, there might be some fighting words going on there. Not really, no. I mean, I'm glad to see him do good, and to be on top step with him, it can't get any better than that, especially with the family deal. And then with my dad also, involved in owning the team and bringing Max Paper along with a great crew, great engineering and system. It's all, it's just a blessing to be with them.
With the support of the whole family, both Ross and Kendall are still chasing the championships late in the season. Collectively, the Smith brothers have won 9 races this year, and despite their brotherly competition, Kendall says there is no other way to race but with family.
It's incredible when your family loves racing because you don't have to worry about the give and take relationship. It's all just a lot of fun.
We're back, and so is the green flag. After the second caution, it flies, and take a look at the move here by Amadeo Quiroz Sr. He got a great start, gets down inside Brian Wong. This is for third. Final spot on the podium, although a bit early in the going here. He gets to the inside, but look at Wong. Sweeps the outside, shuts the door, but he runs just a little wide, and Quiroz again gets the momentum, gets back down to the inside of Wong, and it's not done yet. Watch this. They go through this turn. Watch Wong. The over, now the under, gets the drive out of the turn, comes right back alongside Amadeo Quiroz. This is 3 corners and maybe a good half mile of racing still side by side. And then Mike Shine says, I sense opportunity. I'm going to try and get down and freight train Wong, leave him on the outside. Quiroz deep on the brakes. He gets the turn done, but right there you saw Wong having none of Shine's attempt. But then Shine tries to drive up the hill, couldn't quite get it done. And for Carlos Eduardo, on the restart of the gold class, he just leapt into the lead. Problem so for John Baker as he nudged it into the wall. And when you have an incident like that, a great peace of mind is offered by the Rapid Response Safety Vehicle. And for this weekend at Road America, it's a brand new one from Porsche.
Well, we're very proud to be handing these 2 cars over today. The Cayenne's been used very effectively in the last few years as a great safety vehicle. Well, the new cars are very much enhanced. It's a brand new model, very much revised. New body structure. It's 400 pounds lighter than the previous model. The 2 engines in the 2 cars, the Turbo and the S. The Turbo now has 500 horsepower. The S has 400 horsepower. But the real attractive thing about this is it's 23% more fuel efficient, which is phenomenal. In the interior of the car, it's now fashioned like the Panamera, the new GT we just put out there. So it's magnificently trimmed inside. It's a beautiful car to drive. I'm very envious of these guys to be able to use this car, but also very flattered that you use this car because of the performance, the handling. It's got a new all-wheel drive system, adaptive cruise control for the highways and when you use it normally, a lighting system that follows the steering, many, many different features that we put in the car this year. We're very excited about it. This car is completely stock. It's a very high-performance car that comes with, say, the turbo engine. It can outrun most of the road cars in this form, but also it can out-handle them as well with its very clever suspension systems that adapt to the different terrains, whether it's on a hard surface or whether it's on a rough surface that adapts automatically to that, especially in the turbo model. This is just a continuance of the 20 or 30 years of turbocharging models that we've had in the road cars. You see it here now in the SUVs. You'll see it on the racetracks, on the road, and helps in racing, or vice versa. That's what the company's built around.
It's a remarkable company that produces remarkable vehicles, and a number of them just get the green flag once again after the 3rd caution. Ross Smith able to fend off Chironi. Amadeo Quiroz Sr., though, having to fend off an impressive Brian Wong. But for Amadeo Quiroz Jr., a bit of a moment. Gets a little wide off in the marbles, saves it, but lost some time. And Brent Holden has a big spin right in the middle of traffic down at Turn 8 here at Road America. Some great evasive driving. Meanwhile, back to this battle, and it is intense, as was the battle in the gold class. And by the way, folks, here's a look at Galen Beeker, teammate to Bob Rodriguez, and that Works 2 team started dead last and is making a big move up through the pack. Speaking of moves, Brian Wong put together a great drive in this one, all over the back of Chironi, and that is a battle for second. Meanwhile, look at Enrique Cisneros all over the back of his teammate Carlos Eduardo now after that 3rd restart, if you will. And he's making a real race of it, and he senses big opportunity, obviously, with Kendall Smith buried in the pack. He can make up points. Speaking of Kendall, here was his move as he's trying to work his way up, gets around Bob Rodriguez. Remember, we were following that battle earlier. That's for getting up into the top 10 in class. There is Darrell Carlisle and also Avenatti, the guys that had problems and spins earlier, trying to regain position and work up through the pack. And it produced some awfully exciting racing. Maybe a little too exciting, though, a little further up for Rob Walton. I'll tell you, if this gentleman didn't have bad luck, he'd have none at all. I've said it before, so quick, and then just suddenly something goes wrong, and it happened again. However, nothing went wrong today for Ross Smith as he brings it home. A remarkable season continues, 8th win in 11 starts. And there's a look at Carlos Eduardo coming up to get the checkered flag the 6th time. He was first to the checkers this season in the Gold Cup category, but it was the fact that Enrique was second with Kendall a little bit further back because of his off that is going to really jumble this points run. It's going to be a fascinating run, and of course that will take another big step when we take a look at the highlights in round 12. But first, when we come back, we'll take a look at the complete results from round 11. We'll meet our winners and then go behind the scenes with Yokohama. Coverage of the Patron GT3 Challenge by Yokohama is presented by the Patron Spirits Company, the #1 ultimate tequila in the world, simply perfect. By Yokohama, where technology drives better tires. And by Porsche Motorsport North America. There are 2 lines that matter most in racing, the finish line and the blood line. And let's take a look at the official results. Ross Smith with a big win. You don't see Darrell Carlisle there. That's a big swing in the points. Eduardo Cisneros and Quiros in the Gold Cup. But right now, let's get down to Jamie with our Platinum Class podium. Jamie?
Ross Smith bringing it home for another race win. A couple of cautions, but you always drove away. How is that possible?
I don't know. I got a good car, you know. My dad actually stepped in just like last race and engineered my car. I mean, he's been doing it since I was a young boy and nine years old in go-karts, and I trust the guy, you know. He gave me a car that was just outstanding. Nothing's perfect. It wasn't perfection. We can still grow on it and learn a lot. In practice, we tried lots of different things, and we finally found something that was comfortable for me. So, you know, we had a really good gap in the race, and the yellow came out. I was kind of bummed about those, but 3 laps after the yellows, we were able to get that gap, maintain it, and be able to come in with that victory, and it feels very, very good this time.
Amadeo Quiros coming home, 2nd place finish. This is pretty big in the championship, but how was the pace of that race with those cautions?
You know, when I begin in sixth place, and I try to be the front that I can do it, but the people is very fast, but I begin to be more faster and faster, and I can pass, and the yellow flags help me a little bit, and you know, I finish second because, you know, the last year that I raced, I crashed and I flip, and for me it's very nice to win today, and because all my family is here today.
Oh, this one is just unbelievable. This is my first time here at Road America, and to do this well, I just have to thank everyone on my team and Porsche Motorsports and everybody involved with IMSA. This has been like a dream come true.
And let's take a look at the rest of the results. There's Galen Beeker. What a run from dead last on the field up into 11th overall, almost knocking on the door of the top 10. Then you see 14th, 15th, 16th, some of those gold class competitors. Kendall Smith, a big story there. And then you see way at the back, Darrell Carlisle, all playing into the points. But we saw the podium earlier in the results. Now they're with Jamie for the Gold Cup.
Carlos Eduardo bringing it home, the top step of the podium after missing the last round. How did you do it today?
Well, fast, and having fun, like always. I can't believe it after Mid-Ohio that I'm here again and winning. It's a good thing. That's what I came for, to have fun. That's exactly what is going on.
You know, luckily Kendall spun on turn 1. As soon as that happened, I knew that all I had to do was finish the race because I knew he'd be a lap down. So I'm very happy it happened that way. And I need to also thank my wife and my daughter, Cecilia. Thank you so much. I love you.
Yeah, it was great. I had a really bad start. I went from 2nd to 3rd, but I had some platinum cars behind me, in front of me. So after the yellow flag, I did a really good braking, and I passed 2 cars. I got 2nd place, but then I tried to do the same, and I just locked tires and went to 3rd, and we just continued the race, and it was great. They drove really well, so I'm very happy.
And that's provided another phenomenal example of how successful Yokohama's efforts have been this season, but what we've never seen is the tires journey on a weekend. So here's a unique look at a Yokohama race tire. It is a fascinating journey to be sure. Lots of celebrating going on after round 11. And of course, when we come back, we'll have highlights from round 12 and a look at a very special group of individuals that set this series apart. We return to the stunning Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and let's take a look at our starting lineup for the 12th round. Ross Smith, again, remember, fast time in the first race of the weekend establishes the grid for the second one. Ross Smith, another pole. Then you see Shine and Chironi. Then we go to row 3, Darryl Carlisle and Brian Wong, Rob Walt and Galen Beeker in row number 4. Galen Beeker, his first pole of the season, is charged from dead last in that race, producing a remarkable lap. Then Carlos Eduardo starts second in the Gold Cup. Then a couple of the Platinum cars. Then Enrique Cisneros and Amadeo Quiroz Jr. fill out row 6. Again, points. So important there. Then row 7, Brent Holden and Tim Rosengrant in the Platinum category cars. Gary Pennington and John Baker the same in row number 8. That orange stripe gives you that. The green stripe tells us it's Gold Cup cars. Steve Goldman and Wes Hoagland fill out row 9. Row 10, Brad Larson and Kendall Smith really had some struggles after that off in terms of speed. Ludovico Manfredi and Michael Avenatti will be filling out row number 12. And here's Bob Rodriguez and Chris Cummings with his struggles. There's the IMSA safety team giving a thumbs up. They're a remarkable group of people that these drivers appreciate. Here's a look.
Safety is more than just emergency medicine and rescue. It really involves a lot of creating and keeping a safe environment for the drivers. All of our trucks are fully equipped for firefighting, for rescue, for vehicle extrication, for driver extraction. I actually drive the Rapid Response Car. And Rapid Response Car is a program that IMSA is very unique to IMSA in that if we observe an impact that they think requires immediate medical attention, then I drive the Rapid Response Car. I have the emergency room physician in the right seat with me, and we are dispatched immediately, oftentimes before the flaggers have had an opportunity to even get the field slowed down. So sometimes we are out there with green flag race cars. Cayenne jumps up, gets out there, runs with the race cars. The drivers know it, they recognize it, they respect it. It's a very safe way to get emergency care to a driver as fast as you possibly can.
If you race in an IMSA series, you benefit from their expertise. Now to the highlights of round 12, and it didn't take long. Look at Marco Chironi as the green flew, trying to split those two guys in front of him. Amadeo Quiroz Sr. on the right, Mike Shine to the left, and it is Chironi right dead center as they head down. Now the three of them abreast, they all have to check up, and look at the gap that allows Ross Smith by the exit of 1 as he was able to drive the fast line in, through, and out. Look at that margin he gets. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Watch what happens right there. Chironi trying to get to the outside. He and Shine, just a little bit of a touch, but it breaks a wheel for Shine, damages the right front corner of Chironi just a little bit. And here now is Ross Smith benefiting even more from that. Amadeo Quiroz into second, and third overall, Carlos Eduardo, who got the jump on Galen Beeker. There's the damage to Chironi. That Ital form 6-gear racing car going to have to limp it back to the pits. Meanwhile, we jump ahead just a little bit. There is the 24 of Carlos Eduardo, and he has a very strong Brian Wong in that Platinum category car right behind him. Wong was in full-out hound mode. He was all over the back of Eduardo. And I think Carlos Eduardo realized here that Wong's pace was inevitable. And watch, he just sort of lets him get through here down into 8. If you really wanted to fight it, you could drive center track and block it. He let him go, and I think he said, there's another Platinum car behind me, so I still have that buffer. And his pace, if I tried to keep it, I could end up off into one of the gravel traps here. You don't want to do that. A smart move by Carlos Eduardo, having a stunning season in terms of his wins and poles, etc. Now, speaking of stunning seasons, a great race in this season unfolding by Amadeo Quiroz as he quickly ran down Ross Smith and was hounding him mercilessly as they worked through turn 13, the Billy Mitchell turn, and up into turn 14. Quiroz was to be relentless, and Smith doing everything he could to fend him off on the run up the front straight. When we come back, we get a lesson from Patron, and of course, a lot more highlights from round 12. Back to Road America, more highlights from round 12, and take a look at this multi-class battle. All those orange windshield stripes like the one on Brett Holden there, and right behind him, the lone gold class car of Enrique Cisneros, literally swimming with the sharks at this point. and what a run it was. Meanwhile, speaking of runs, look at this. A great pass by Amadeo Quiros. Got a tremendous run out of turn 5 up the hill. That is a tough corner to make the pass. You've got to be decisive, and he executed it beautifully. Gets in front of Ross Smith and is able to draw away just a little bit, and Brian Wong starts coming after Ross as well. As it turns out, there was a little bit of a puncture in Ross's left front tire, which really handcuffed him on some of the turns on this track. It was a slow leak, so he was able to keep going. Remember, Rob Walton had that spin late in the going yesterday? This is an idea of just how good this guy is when he doesn't run into that bad luck. A very strong run. And here we go. This was a fabulous battle. Peter Lesafre, and look at Chris Cumming in that orange Innovative Fitness machine. Comes up alongside this long climbing straight, then down into the braking zone at 1. And Cumming was through, but it was to be short-lived, as just a little bit further on, watch this. He ends up off track, just pushing a little bit too hard, pops back on, and there goes Lesafre. But while we were watching that, take a look at what happened here. Amadeo Quiros Jr. gets around and puts the pass on Carlos Eduardo, and Amadeo Quiros Jr. finds himself now in the gold class lead. Great opportunity there. Some superb racing there. There's the 50 of Gary Pennington with Tim Rosengren. You saw Pennington, a little wiggle, and Rosengren, again, up into turn 6, going to give it a look, and he gets through and makes the pass. Steve Goldman watching it all unfold. Pennington with that beautiful paint scheme, evocative of the 98 Porsche GT1s that ran at Le Mans. And there is Rosengren giving the run. Some great racing action for the fans, but there's a great way to watch racing, and Jamie got a great lesson.
As we've talked about all season, one of Patron's biggest activation elements is having Club Patron at each and every venue. This weekend, though, we get a little bit of a special treat because we are going to learn from Crystal how to make the perfect Patron margarita. So, Crystal, what are our basic ingredients? Where do we start?
Well, for the perfect margarita, you definitely want to use the perfect tequila, and that is Patron Silver. So we're going to start with this. We're going to add a little Patron Citronge, and then we're going to use fresh squeezed limes, which makes it really good.
All right, so what do we do here? What's the process?
Well, I want to make sure I have plenty of ice in my shaker. So.
Is this for one drink only?
This is going to be for one person.
How many times do you have to do this every weekend?
Well, this weekend I'm doing a lot. So basically I'm going to do 1.5 ounces of Patron Silver. I'm going to count to 3. I'm going to add the Citronge. And then I'm going to use our citrus squeezer to fresh squeeze lime juice.
And you do the whole lime?
The whole lime, definitely. Just one more. So I want to make sure that it's nice and cold. So I'm going to shake it. I usually count to about 20. Now we have all our ingredients together nice and cold. We are going to add some ice. All right, here we go.
Perfect amount.
Perfect amount. Now we're going to just garnish it with a lime wedge. And there you have it. The Patron Perfect Margarita.
Well, we've got some great racing, but for Brent Holden, once again, after a great drive alongside of John Baker, he just got those right tires in the grass, and that was enough to kick the car sideways. A nice piece of evasive by Baker to give him room to let that car do that half spin. And Holden able to gather it up with a wiggle, continued on down track. Meanwhile, Kendall Smith, after his problems in round 11, gets around Galen Beeker. Kendall was a man on a mission, but look at Beeker now. He's going to try it up into turn 6, has that nose alongside, and Kendall looked and said, if I turn in, we're going to tink. Don't want to do that. I'm still trying to do something in terms of points. He lets him through. Boy, turn 6, not a place you see lots of passes this weekend. Lots of passes. Wes Hoagland trying to get down and underneath Ludovico Manfredi. A beautiful pass. And he just sort of charged in there, and Manfredi gave him the room to get it done. Tell you, some great close quarters racing with a lot of respect in this group. And for Amadeo Quiros, having himself a great day out in front, Ross Smith in second. But look at Brian Wong starting to close it up. Again, Ross struggling with that slow puncture and simply hanging in there. More to come. We're back and taking you right to the checkers here in round 12. And remember, this battle, it continues. Ludovico Manfredi gets his spot back on Hoagland with Brad Larson looking them both over as they head down the hill. Hoagland in that Westland Lennox Financial Porsche, and look at Manfredi, the MoMA NGT entry starting to draw away just a little bit. Meanwhile, Galen Beeker continuing his strong run, sneaks by Steve Goldman here as they head down into turn number 1. Meanwhile, up front, Ross Smith sitting in second, Brian Wong hounding him. Tell you, it's remarkable that Yokohama Tire has not let go with that puncture, and especially the fact that Ross is driving it hard. Meanwhile, Peter Lesafra on the way to one of his best finishes of the season by far, a very strong run. And you can see right in the mix is Tim Rosengrant and John Baker as they are looking at runs in the top 10, knocking on the door of the top 5 in that platinum class. And do keep in mind that unlike round 11 with all those cautions, there's been nary a one today, so the much more powerful, more aerodynamic platinum cars are catching traffic. And right there you see Amadeo Quiros, and he is approaching an area of the track last year where he had a nasty moment, folks. Take a look at this. This is the view that Amadeo Quiros Sr. had at one point during racing here last year. And if he can hold on for the win today, it would be the sweetest of redemption, something very special indeed. And let's not forget that his son currently sits in the lead in the Gold Cup class, so talk about sweet. But for Amadeo, that was a scary moment. And not quite as scary, but watch this moment for John Baker. Had a great run going, as I said, and once again, it just got away from him, stuck in the gravel. It would be just a local yellow, so the racing continues. There is Quiros Sr. And take a look at Brian Wong. Looks to the inside. Ross right down the middle of the track. He is doing everything he can, reaching into every bag of tricks possible to keep that car of Wong behind him. And again, Ross, with that tire issue, this is just a fabulous drive. And again, just stunning that Yokohama is not just coming apart. It is an incredibly well-built tire to be able to be pounded like this in the condition it is in. And Ross is doing a brilliant job. Imagine being willing to flat-foot it through the kink with a slow puncture in a tire. At this point, Ross didn't know that, but he knew something was off in the handling, and to just be still, willing to drive it like that. Look at Wong. Looked, Ross covered just a little bit. Wong tucked right back in behind. He knew he had to find something here, and Ross not showing any chinks in that armor at this point. Just a beautiful defensive drive, doing it with as much speed as he can. No blocking, just driving a little bit more defensively into turns, still trying to carry as much speed as he can, and heading out of turn 14, the run up the hill. Amadeo Quiros Sr., after that crash last year, redemption is indeed sweet. A big win, and for Smith, a brilliant drive to second. And talk about making it sweet, how about Amadeo Quiros Jr.? Coming out of turn 14, he too is going to come up and grab the checkers, and it will be a Quiros family sweep of the two podiums. Tell you what, it doesn't get much better than that. Absolutely superb, incredible drive by both father and son and the rest of the pack as well. We'll visit with them when we come back. Today's coverage of the Patron GT3 Challenge by Yokohama is presented by the Patron Spirits Company, the #1 ultimate tequila in the world, simply perfect, and by Yokohama, where technology drives better tires, and by Speed. And let's take a quick look at the overall results. Quiros, Smith, Wong, and look at that, Rob Walton. When he gets some good luck, look what he can do. Easy top 5, folks. Right behind him, Amadeo Quiros Jr. wins the gold class. But right now, it's time to get down and hear from our platinum podium, led off by a proud but tired Papa.
It's... when I begin the race, I saw Ross, and he going far of me, and I said, I need to put too much effort to going behind him. But then I saw him a little bit more closer and closer, and I said, today is my day, and I make the first plate today, and Amadeo, my son, make the first plate in place in gold class, and I'm very happy. And I'm thinking now in the second place in the championship for me is perfect.
Ross Smith coming in, you started on pole, but you lost the lead early on. What happened?
I wanted to brake so a little too hot. Made a mistake, got around me, and then my car picked up a pretty heavy push. When in the high speed, I was getting killed. In the low speed corners, I was able to catch him. But here, downforce and high speed is really, really important. So pushing in the corners and the kink in the carousel had nothing for him. So we just get that gap, and I catch him under braking every time. But the high speed is more important here. But I don't know where we are. We're really close in the championship points. Someone told me we're there. Some people told me, I don't know how it's really calculated right now. But second's not bad. We'll take it. Brian Wong did a heck of a run, man. He gave me a big old mirror full of looks. So and congratulations to the Costa Ricans. They did a heck of a job too. So all in all, Max Pipper did a great job this week.
Oh man, it was just a great car. This is the first weekend I've been in this car. Like you said, I'm a little late to this series, but I tell you what, since I've been gone, this series has gotten more and more competitive. My teammate Amadeo did an awesome job, and Ross did an awesome job. I've had so much fun racing this weekend with these guys up front, and it definitely, yesterday we were off a little bit. It takes a good car and a good driver, and I wasn't all there yesterday. The car wasn't perfect yesterday, but I think we got it straightened out, and today was really fun.
And he heads right off to Europe to do a couple of Porsche Super Cup races at little venues called Spa and Monza. Good on him. Let's take a look at the rest of the results, and you'll notice Kendall Smith there in 12th overall, back in the Gold Cup order. That has huge points implications. And then coming Carlisle Shine way at the back there as well. But it's time to get down and hear from our Gold Cup podium.
Yeah, well, it was a great race. I started third in the first turn. I passed Enrique, and then just kept pushing until I got Carlos Eduardo braking late, and from there on, I just kept going, and then maintaining the rhythm, and it's a great race. This is my last race of the year, and winning, it's incredible. And my dad first place too. Well, great.
What does that mean to your family, for you to win and your dad to win the Platinum class as well? What does that mean?
It's just incredible. It's the best, and my mom is here. I think my mom is the lucky charm. When she comes, we're both in the podium, so I think we have to keep bringing her.
I got tired. I got so tired. I was exhausted. I couldn't keep up with him. Just at the beginning, I fought so hard to stay with the 210s, and then my stamina went off. Couldn't keep up. He had a great race, and I'm happy that Enrique is here, and Eduardo, thank you again.
Well, it was fun for where I was sitting, because I was looking at Carlos and Quiros battling the whole time, and I just wanted to get myself far away from that. I was behind Lassar for the whole time, just trying to put in consistent lap times and trying to finish the race.
And everybody thinking about points now. Remember, a new development this year. Here are the points if you count every round so far through the 12. Smith over Carlisle, Quiros, Cumming, and Rosengren. But look what happens this year. Your worst two finishes are allowed to be dropped from that point count. Here's what happens. You can see Smith actually opens it up significantly, close to a clinch. Carlisle and Quiros are tied, and Quiros, remember, didn't run this class at Sebring. Great run for him this season, and some of the others with struggles here this weekend have fallen back just a little bit. Now, gold standings after 12, counting every round. Enrique Cisneros, you see the lead now he has over Kendall Smith, then Carlos Eduardo, Amadeo Quiros, and Eduardo Cisneros. But factor in the drops, look what happens. Even with Kendall's issues, because of the drop, notice how much closer he is. Then Carlos Eduardo, not far back either. Amadeo Quiros and Eduardo Cisneros, your top five. So this class, the points battle, very close going into the final two rounds of the championship, which will come at our final venue, and that is going to be unfolding, of course, at Road Atlanta, part of the legendary Petit Le Mans weekend. With that, let's wrap up our coverage. Special thanks to the Patron Spirits Company. We also need to say a huge thanks to the folks from Yokohama Tire and Rubber Company, and of course from Porsche Motorsport North America, and also a big thanks to all the volunteers. They put in some unbelievable hours here at Road America this weekend, very long days. So to all the volunteers, and a special shout out to all the folks on the corners out in harm's way, thank you so much for everything. As I said, the final race, the final two rounds, rounds 13 and 14, will be coming at you from Road Atlanta, and that'll be right here on Speed, October 23rd. Thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Till next time, take care.